What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to see daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, in this video today, it's going to be the last video of today, and it's going to be another draft profile, and this one was a recommendation. Shout out to 1908 D2 for the recommendation, wanting me to do a video on Ezra Gray. And I think Ezra Gray is a really interesting prospect, and I think a lot of people don't know him, coming from a smaller school, coming from an HBCU, but, he ended up playing, he had an excellent HBCU combine performance, and I think he's a very intriguing prospect to look at. Now, if you're not a Ravens fan, that's totally okay. This video is not directed especially for a Ravens fan. Obviously, I'm going to give my opinions on the potential of the Baltimore Ravens drafting these players at the very end of the video. So if you're not a fan of the Ravens, let me know what team you're rooting for, and if you think Ezra Gray would be a good pick for him. But I'm just giving my analysis on him, and if you're coming after the draft and maybe your team picked him up, and you're just looking for some info, I'm going to be going over that here. All right, so looking at Ezra Gray, running back out of Alabama State, the first thing that you have to recognize with him is he is small. All right, he's about 5'7". He's about 175 pounds. That is concerning if you're looking at him trying to draft him to become an every down running back. That's not what you're going to get out of Ezra Gray. However, that's not to say he doesn't have potential in the NFL. The biggest thing that he is going to bring is versatility as a scat back and as a return specialist and as, just a third down running back to utilize in space. That's what he's going to bring to the table, all right? When you're trying to make it on a football team, you need to make sure that you can do every single thing possible to get onto that roster. And there's potential that he goes undrafted. I've seen him getting mocked into the fifth rounds, so there is potential for him to get drafted. But when you are a late round draft pick, you got to figure out how are you going to contribute. Luckily for him, he has that special teams element. Teams that need a kick returner or a punt returner, they could be looking at Ezra Gray as a potential guy to fill that void, as well as teams that need a pass-catching running back to come in passing situations. Ezra Gray also can fill that void. So he can fill two holes for a lot of teams because a lot of teams need that pass-catching running back and a lot of teams need a kick returner. So Ezra Gray is able to utilize space and he's able to make big plays in a sense, but also not a ton of massive plays because he doesn't have the straight line speed to, end up burning guys at the NFL level. But what he can do is he can hit holes and find angles to get extra yards over what you may expect on certain runs or in the return packages and things like that. So, while he isn't the athlete of I'm trying to think of smaller guys like Tariq Cohen, of sorts where they are much smaller, but their burst is unbelievable. They are going to just take the top off the defense, in a sense as a running back. He's not that guy. He's going to find the hole. He's going to hit the hole quickly, and he's going to get a couple more extra yards. But that's where you're going to get out of him. All right, you're not looking at him as a home run hitter, as a every down running back. You're looking at him as scat back, pass catcher, returner that can see some space and get into it and get a couple extra yards. I think he's got a lot of potential if he goes to the right place. If he goes to a spot that's not going to put him at kick returner and he's just going to sit as the running back 3 and they're going to end up trying to run him up the middle, that's not going to be how he's going to have success. I think, honestly, Tampa Bay is a really good spot for him. A team with Tom Brady, and they have their clear-cut guy. They have Leonard Fournette. They have Keyshawn Vaughn, as a potential young man out of Vanderbilt. Has had some injury problems. But other than that, they could use someone, and Tom Brady loves to throw those checkdowns, and he loves to get the ball to guys in space. And they had Giovanni Bernard getting much older. So how do you replace a guy like Giovanni Bernard, who's not going to take the top off the defense? He's not going to put on the burners. But what he's going to do is he's going to get the ball in space, he's going to find a little seam, and he's going to get some extra yards. That's the type of thing that you could hope for. So I think Tampa Bay is probably the best scenario that I can think of for him. However, there's plenty of teams that can utilize that just haven't utilized it in the past, right? We saw how important Tony Pollard became to the Dallas Cowboys offense, because they had Zeke, but they were like, you know what, we really want a guy that we can just get the ball to in space and let him work. Tony Pollard became that guy, and they were able to utilize him. But Zeke, for a while, was the every down running back. Ezra Gray, I think, does have a place in the NFL. I mean, I think there are a lot of teams that can use him. Now, I'm going to talk about my opinions on the Ravens potentially going after him. I feel like he would be an interesting player, because the Ravens do need a pass catcher at the running back spot. Now, there's potential for Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins to take it over, but they also, I think, need a kick returner. However, Ezra Gray, I don't know if he's the exact guy that I would want. I just think that there are better options for the Ravens to draft. Now, if he goes undrafted, I am 100% all for bringing him in, because I do think he would be able to compete for that final running back spot on the roster. I just, in my personal opinion, feel like the Ravens should go after a power back. And if they want to draft a running back, as a pass catcher, I would rather go for someone that has a lot of burst, like a Pierre Strong. However, that's not to say that I don't think Ezra Gray wouldn't be good in Baltimore. I just think there are some better options. But running back is such a difficult position to analyze, because so much of it depends on where you end up going. Right? There are some great running backs that come into the NFL, but unfortunately, they don't get put into a system or an offensive line or a team that's going to maximize their potential. Look at Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette was a great prospect. Ended up going to Jacksonville. They didn't really give him the weapons, and they just kind of had Blake Bortles there and were like, run for us. And he was all right. I'm not trying to say he was bad by any means. He was solid. But he ended up going to Tampa, and I think he looked significantly more improved in Tampa Bay because they were actually utilizing his skill set. They were getting him the football. They weren't running him into the ground. They were utilizing him. We see it with Saquon Barkley, all the talent in the world. Giants aren't giving him an offensive line. Does that mean he's a bad running back? No, it just means he hasn't been getting the right opportunity. So with running backs, if they get the right opportunity, most of them are going to, be able to do all right. And I think Ezra Gray definitely can find his way onto an NFL roster with the versatility he brings. Being able to be a special teams player with experience at special teams, because so often guys get drafted and they don't really have the special teams experience, but they're like, all right, I guess I'll try it out, to try and make the roster. And it's a little bit shaky for them. He has special teams experience. He's going to be able to perform on special teams, and he can also be a pass catcher out of the backfield. So I feel like that versatility will get him on an NFL roster. I'm excited to see where he goes. I am a fan of his. Obviously him having a smaller frame makes it difficult. However, again, he's not someone that you're going to be handing off the ball to up the middle. He's going to be getting the ball in space and trying to get a couple extra yards, consistently. On 3rd and 7, checking it down to him is never going to be a bad idea, because he could find a way to wiggle his way to get those 7 yards and get that first down. That's what I like about him. That's what I think he brings to, the NFL draft. Guys, let me know other players you want me to talk about. I thought Ezra Gray was a great suggestion. Thank you so much for suggesting him, because I had looked into him, so I did know about him, and I was surprised that someone else wanted to hear about it. So I'm very happy. Also, love getting the HBCUs. The respect, because a lot of guys go under the radar. There's a ton of HBCU guys that should get drafted and will get drafted in this upcoming NFL draft. But thank you everybody for watching. Let me know any players you want me to talk about, and I will see all of you again next.